Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wabihi nasta'in. Ala umur dunia wa din. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. The Honorable Mr. Teddy Rohadi as the head of department. The Honorable all lecturers, English language teaching department. The Honorable Mr. Patria Handung Jaya as the speaker of today's webinar. The Honorable Fauzan of this webinar. And all participants who has participated in this webinar. Thank you for registering in ELTD Webinar Series 5. How to be an outstanding public speaker, held by English Language Teaching Department, ELTD EIN Syekh Nurjati Cirebon. I hope you guys always doing great in this pandemic, and don't forget to always stay safe and keep the health. These are the rules of this webinar. I will also type it on the chat. First, the webinar will be held from 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. Jakarta time. Second, the participant must mute the microphone during the webinar. Third, in Q&A section, participant can directly give their question by typing the emoji raise hand. You can also see it on the chat box. To give the questions orally to the speaker, please state your name and your institution. Fourth, participants must fill out the feedback form shared in the end of the webinar to get the e-certificate. Fifth, e-certificate will be sent through the email maximum 3 days after the event. And the last, the participants aren't allowed to leave the WhatsApp group before downloading the e-certificate. And those are the rules of this webinar. Okay, let's move to the next section. The next section will be guided by our moderator of today. But before that, I will read the curriculum vitae of our moderator of today. Okay, our moderator of today is Mr. M.Iqbal Fauzan. And it is his photo, his picture. His education is first SMA in Senior High School 3 Subang from 2015 until 2019. Second, go to the college at IAIN Syekh Nurjati Cirebon from 2018 until present. And his achievement, first, the best speaker of FIA Cup 2016. First winner in debate competition of FIA Cup 2019. So let's greet our moderator of today, to Mr. M.Iqbal Fauzan. The time is yours.
Hello. Okay. Well, hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Iqbal?
I'm fine, thank you. Uh, First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for the participant who has joined this event on our webinar series 5. And don't forget the Honorable to the Dean of Tarbiyah and Teacher Training Faculty of EIN Syekh Nurjati Cirebon, and the Honorable to the Head Secretarial Lectures of ELTD EIN Syekh Nurjati Cirebon. And I would like to say thank you so much for the committee who has created and held this event. And don't forget, I would like to say thank you so much to our speaker for today, Mr. Handung. Hello, Mr.
Hi, Iqbal. It's really great to see you this morning.
Okay, nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.
And yeah, here we invite our head of LTD, Mr. Teddy Rohadi. Hello, Mr. And also we invite our secretary of the LT department, Mr. Farouk Imam Arashid. Hello, Mr. And well, dear ladies and gentlemen, for today webinar series, we have an amazing topic, talk about how to be an outstanding public speaker. Talk about public speaking. Relate to communications. Communication is the backbone of any society. It allows us to form connection, influence decisions, and motivate change. Public speaking is one of the most important and most derided forms of communications. In the working world, public speaking is a vital skill to have. While some people take to it naturally, others tend to be more fearful of standing and talking in front of crowd. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we fear public speaking or are required to give speech, you may ask yourself, why is public speaking important? Believe it or not, but public speaking is one of the most important skills you will ever develop in your life. Public speaking is so important that could be deciding factor in many things, such as career development, your business growth, your organizations, your work, and the other, and even the relationship you have with your friends and family. Public speaking is a skill worth and learning. So for today, our speaker, Mr. Handung, will give his best explanation and best material for us in this webinar about how to be an outstanding public speaker, such as tips, tricks, and how to avoid our nervous when we give a speech or we interact with social environment. So next, I would like read his curriculum vitae. I think we can move to next slide. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here is Mr. Handung CV. Well, Mr. Handung name is Patria Handung Jaya SPD MA, and his educational background in University Ahmad Dahlan for 2013, and second is University Gajah Mada for 2016, and his jobs as a public speaking enthusiast. That's why now today he will give the best performance, the best material to us about how to be an outstanding public speaker. So don't forget to take note and listen carefully to his explanations. So I think enough for me. Then I will give to Mr. Handung for giving your best material for today.
All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad Iqbal. Well, so first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for the Dean of the Faculty, as well as the head of the department, and also the secretary of the department, and also for the amazing committee of this event. Thank you so much for having me. And also, last but not least, is for all of the participants. I see that there are more than 180 participants, and I'm so happy with that. It means that the enthusiasm of public speaking is getting bigger nowadays. All right, so I'd like to say welcome to this webinar, this seminar. Even if we conduct this seminar online, I really expect that the participants, everybody will get something from our activity today, right? Okay, so yeah, so the committee will handle the PowerPoint. If I say next, then please go to the next slide, okay? But if I haven't said next, please stay on the slide. Okay, well, so talking about public speaking, all right, everybody is really familiar with public speaking, right? I believe that you guys already know what public speaking is. However, one thing that we need to know is that, or everybody needs to know, is that not all people are aware about the importance of public speaking. Sometimes people are still feeling hesitate about what is actually the function of public speaking. Why do I have to learn about public speaking and so on and so forth? Right, to begin with, I would like to say that speaking is not only, saying a word. Speaking is not only we talk to someone, but by speaking, we can make people do some action. We can move people with our words. So that is the essence of speaking. All right. And it has been stated by Iqbal before that no matter what our profession is, there will be always a need of doing public speaking, no matter what the profession we have. So I believe that all of the participants here, are coming from various fields, a teacher, perhaps, a lecturer, a student, an accountant, and so on and so forth. All right. So I believe that everybody here, there will be a need in doing public speaking, right? And that's why today my purpose of the talk, the purpose of this seminar is that I would like to invite you to, to be aware what is actually the importance of public speaking. And after that, we will not only discuss the importance, but on how to handle, on how to be a great and outstanding public speaker, so that the goal that we have, so that anything that we need to do during the communication would be, successfully done with our ability. All right. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. The discussion today, the discussion today would be covering several topics. Right. So this is the outline that so you can, ask a question regarding to one of these outline, as well as perhaps the participant also can, share the experience of doing public speaking or anything. So not only questions, but you guys can participate by sharing your experience in doing public speaking. Okay, so first we are going to talk about what is actually the definition of public speaking. What is public speaking? Is it really necessary? And then why do most people hate it? Okay, I believe that everyone had the experience or still has the experience of, hating public speaking. After that, we're going to talk about why do we need to have this skill, a public speaking skill. And it will be followed by the performance tips. We are going to start with before performance, during performance, and after the performance. Okay. And after that, we're going to talk about the different types of speeches, because sometimes different type of speech would have different sense, would have just a little bit difference in the style. And last but not least, we are going to conclude this webinar, and then you may ask questions or even share the experience. Next. So first of all, what is actually public speaking? We often hear about that, public speaking, but only speaking in public, right? But actually, public speaking is more than that, okay? What we call as public speaking, next slide, please. Public speaking is actually a tool of communication, and this is it. As a tool of communication, people are afraid of this, all right? People are afraid of this because, people are afraid of standing in front of many people, and it becomes the first fear for many people. Like number one, they are afraid of public speaking. Number two, they're afraid of snakes. And number three, people are afraid of death. And it is based on the research. So research said that number one, that becomes the biggest fear for most people is public speaking, right? That's why the committee from ELTD hold this event, and it is really beneficial for all of us here. Next, let's go back to the definitions of public speaking. Like I told you before, that public speaking is a tool of communication, but it's not only a tool of communication. More than that, it is a communication which is done by face-to-face, right? So it is a face-to-face communication method, all right? So public speaking is not a person who is talking to himself or herself, right? So it's a face-to-face communication. Like right now, what I'm doing a communication method in public speaking by facing the participants, by facing all of you guys. However, the difference is that we cannot meet it directly, but we meet it online. But it's still the same. That this is a formal face-to-face communication method. Next, after we know that it is actually communication method, it is actually in form of speech. Okay, speech, right? And then there is a purpose for this communication. Either we are going to inform, to influence, or to entertain. So there will be a purpose of our speech. There will be a purpose of why we are speaking. There will be a purpose why we are standing in front of many people. Are we going to inform? Are we going to influence people? Are we going to entertain? Inform means that we are going to give an informative speech. Like right now, I'm trying to inform what public speaking is. While influencing is like we try to make people move. We try to make people do some action. The goal of speak to influence is that we want people to do some action after listening to our speech. And last but not least is that speaking to entertain is like there is a need to entertain people, right? Stand-up comedian, they try to make a joke. It's also public speaking because they entertain people with their joke, right? So this is actually the definition of public speaking: a formal face-to-face communication method in form of speech that has a purpose, either to inform, to influence, or to entertain. Next slide. Right, after knowing the definition of public speaking, let's try to talk about why people hate public speaking. From these five, try to ask ourselves, which one is, my fear of public speaking? Is it the first one, the lack of positive experience? Because experience is the best teacher. It's not only a cliche statement, but we know that the more experience we have, then the better performance we will have, right? Or the second, being the center of attention. Okay, like we stand in front of many people and then people are looking at us and then we hate it because we hate being the center of attention. Or number three, we are afraid of the feeling of isolation. We are by ourselves, standing in front of many people on stage. We have no friends. We have no companion, just ourselves. And after that, we are afraid of being judged by the audience. All right, we are afraid of being rejected by the audience, right? That's actually the biggest fear because we are afraid of being judged by them. Whether am I good enough here, or am I supposed to be here? Do I really have to do this? Because people are really afraid of being rejected and being judged by the audience. And finally, sometimes people are afraid of the fear of failure. So they do not expect about the success, but more than that, people are sometimes think of the failure that they will have in doing public speaking. So instead of the success, they think about the failure. So these are several things why people hate public speaking. You may share more later on why people are afraid of public speaking. Next slide. After knowing this, we also need to know about why is it important, so that, okay, I know the importance of public speaking. I know why is it necessary. Then after knowing why is it important, then of course, those feeling of fear could be eliminated. Number one, of course, as a student, because I see that most of the participants here are students or teacher, perhaps, right? That we are able to demonstrate the knowledge. Okay, we have something here in our head. Everybody has. That's why I told you in the very first beginning that no matter what profession we have, then there will be always a need of doing public speaking, because we have an idea here in our head that we would like people to know, either to make our institution or company, develop, or even to promote ourselves. That's why we need to demonstrate the knowledge that we have. And how we can demonstrate the knowledge is that by being able to speak confidently in front of many people. Number two, increases the knowledge. Before we speak, of course, we will learn, we will study about what we are going to say. That's why by speaking, automatically we increase our knowledge because we cannot say random things. People will not listen to random things. That's why read, learn more, and that's why we could increase the knowledge. Number three, impress others. Yeah, it's like a bonus, right? Because if we are able to speak in front of many people, we can motivate them, then they would be impressed by the performance. And then number four is develop and shows the confidence. Of course, confidence is like when we feel our opinion is good enough and we are okay, or we are fine if people are against it. So if they against our opinion, then we feel okay because we are confident enough to accept all of the opinion from people. Everybody has their own opinion, and we cannot, we cannot just force them to agree with us. And then number five is that job opportunity. Of course, nowadays company, college, and so on and so forth, they insist someone who has a skill. If we only rely on our academic, paper, like, oh, I have a GPA 4.0, or I have a, so many A in my GPA, and so on and so forth, that will be not enough because everybody can have A, everybody can have GPA more than 3.75 nowadays, right? But not all people are able to have the skill, especially in public speaking skill. That's why if we are going to apply for a job later on, ask ourselves, do I have a skill? Do I have an opportunity? Do I have an ability to promote myself so that I can get the job, right? That is what it meant by the job opportunity. Number six, it can distinguish, it could differentiate us in our workplace, right? So like I told you before, when we have a skill, right, so then we will be able to be distinguished by many people because not all people have the skill, especially in the skill of demonstrating the skill of demonstrating the knowledge, the skill of public speaking. Then of course, if we are, different from the other, then we would have bigger opportunity to promote ourselves. We will have more career than anybody else in our office, in our workplace. Then of course, we will have the leadership talent, then would make our business successful. All right? Business here is not only like when we have a business, no, but everything that we do, a teacher, a student, a lawyer, an accountant, and many things. This is what we have. If we are aware of what is the importance of doing public speaking, or at least we have the skill of public speaking. Next slide. Yeah, after knowing the importance, and then why do I have to do this kind of speaking activity? Can I deliver my opinion? Can I deliver my idea by writing? Yeah, that's actually okay. But we see here that speaking is the easiest tool to communicate in communicating the idea that we have. Why? Because in speaking, we can try to improvise what we have on our head. It also said by John Datz here that a good presentation is the single most effective tool any organization can have. So it's not about writing. I did not say that writing is not important. It is indeed important. But on how we can present the writing that we have, we can present the concept, the draft that we have, that is what matters. All right, because the presentation is like the most effective tool that organization can have. So how we can present the idea, on how we can make people sure that our idea is worth it, that is really necessary. Next slide. So most people think that, okay, I think that I was not born by being a good speaker. I think that I don't have this kind of ability. I think that I don't have those talents. Those thoughts are really wrong, okay? Because great speakers are not born. They are trained, okay? So there are no people in this world that they were born to be great speakers. No, like they trained, they practice, right? So that's why it's never too late to practice. So look at these speakers here, right? We have several great people that even we see that some of them might be stuttered before. If you are familiar to the King of England before Queen Elizabeth, like he's a great speaker, but in fact he's also stutter, right? So it seems that it proven great speakers, they are not born, but they are trained. So practice. by doing more practice, practice and practice, try to embrace ourselves, right? By doing more practice that could enhance our, could, you know, develop our ability in doing public speaking. So never thought that we don't have skill, never thought that I was not born to be these great speakers, but try to believe that, okay, I will train myself, I will practice more. Next slide. Yes, so after knowing the importance, right, now it's time to talk about how to build the confidence, how to make sure that our performance will be great, and we will be outstanding in front of many people. We would be confident in front of many people. I would like to divide this presentation into three parts. So pre-performance, during performance, and also post-performance. So let's discuss it one by one. Let's talk about the pre-performance. Next slide. There are several things to consider before doing public speaking. Number one is the objective. Ask yourself, ask ourselves, what is my purpose of standing here? What is my purpose of talking in front of many people? Do I want to inform them about something? Do I want to, influence them about something? Or do I want to make them laugh? Or I just want to stand without doing nothing, right? So after knowing the objective, then we will be aware that, oh, I have that goal that I have to achieve. Number two is the audience. Why do we have to consider the audience? Because the audience is everything that we need. Before we decide the materials, before we decide what language that we have to use, before we decide what diction that we have to use, we need to know who our audience is, right? When we talk about politics, for example, it will be different when we talk about politics to children and to lecturer. Of course, the language, the style, right, would be different. The topic would be also different. That's why we need to consider the audience. Because if no audience would listen to our speech, then it will be a fail presentation. It will be a fail public speaking. Number three, the venue. We need to consider the venue because why? Let's try to consider that we did the presentation online or offline. We need to consider many things, like the distance between our place to the presentation place, or something like this. Oh, I need a time to go to log into Zoom and to wait for the participants because anything might happen. Okay, flat tire, signal problem, right? Rain, weather, and everything. That's why we need to consider the venue to, to make sure that just because of the venue, we will not fail to the presentation or to the public speaking activity. We also need to consider about the movement because, oh, I'm going to speak on the podium or I'm going to walk from one side to another. And then do I have to walk at the back and go back to in front again or others? That's why the venue that we are going to use should be really understood by the speakers. After that, the time and length. Okay. Like today, for example, oh, I have a time about 15 minutes to talk about this to my audience. That's why we need to consider the time. Please keep your attention on time as well, because we cannot speak more than the time given. After that, the method. The method would be the verbal and non-verbal communication that we will discuss further in during performance. And then the content, the materials. All right, we cannot talk about something random. We cannot talk about something that is not really interesting for the audience because they will not feel interested by that, right? And next, whether or not we need visual aid. Do I need visual aid? Because most people will not be able to bear their desire to leave if the speaker is only talking without giving them pictures, without giving them the visualizations of what they are talking about, right? Because visualizations of the visual aid would be really necessary. And this one, last but not least, visualize our success. Okay, do not think about the failure. Do not think that, okay, I think today I'm going to fail because many people will look at me. Many people will stare at me. I will forget my line. I will forget my speech. If that is what we are imagining, then it is what will happen. Okay, then in the other hand, if we visualize the success, so we imagine that, okay, today I'm going to speak in front of 200 audience in webinar held by ELTD, right? Then I'm going to inspire them. I'm going to make them move. I'm going to make them believe about what I say. Then that what will happen. Okay, then try to visualize the success, not visualizing the failure that we have. Everything happens based on what we have imagined. If we imagine or if we try to think about positive things, then the positive things will happen. In the other hand, if we think of failure, if we think of something bad, negative things, then it would happen as well. Okay, so before the performance, close our eyes, think about the success. Do not think about the fear. Okay, focus on the message, not the fear. Next performance is that about during performance activity. Next slide. Yes, during the performance, there are several things that we need to do. Number one, the most important thing is that we need to record our work, right? So we need to do some recording. It could be we prepare by ourselves or we invite someone to record. Okay, like today, for example, I would like to ask Mas Fajar or Mas Iqbal to record my performance and then so that I can evaluate later on. Okay, so that is the function of recording. We can evaluate from all aspects. Okay, we will discuss that further. Number two, we need to know the introduction. Okay, because why? People will judge us in the first 30 seconds of our performance and from our appearance. We often hear the word like, do not judge the book by its cover. Yeah, but it will not be really effective for public speaking because in public speaking, our cover does matter, right? Cover here doesn't mean like expensive clothes or everything, no, but most importantly, like I told you here, is that the introduction on how we can greet the audience, on how we can try to relate them to the topic that we have, because they will judge us in that first 30 seconds. If they see that, oh, I think that the speaker is not interesting at all, I think that the speaker cloth is boring, I think that the speech is boring, then they will not tend to listen. The first 30 seconds is our key. That's why I try to pay attention on that. It doesn't mean that all of the part is not important, like the body of the speech and the conversation is not important. No, but introduction, the first 30 seconds would be the most essential part of the performance. The third, like what I told you before, focus on the message, not the fear. We have a message, then that is something that we have to deliver, not the fear that we have to show to people. As a public speaker, we cannot, show the fear that we have because they don't need to know that. Okay, they don't want to know our fear. What they want to know is that the speaker gives us essential information for that. Number four, try to do sport more because we need the breathing techniques. Okay, because when we feel nervous or we do the sport less, then perhaps there will be a problem in breathing techniques. Then there will be a problem in our speech as well, because delivering a speech usually needs like 10 until 15 minutes. Then if we don't have, proper ability in the breathing techniques, then it will be a problem as well in the words that we say. It could be we stop in not a proper moment or others. And then number five is that hydrate ourselves properly. Of course, you have ever watched like the advertisement of Aqua, yeah, that someone is, doing less and then he failed to focus, and that what will happen? Water also really important. Yeah, it is really important because it helps us to focus. And then number six, be sure that we are the master, right? However, be open in all of the opinion from other people. In delivering our speech, we have to believe that, okay, I am the master of this topic. I really know what I'm talking about, right? However, don't be too arrogant by rejecting people's opinion, right? When people have their own opinion, then we have to listen to them, all right? And then we have to appreciate them. Even if it is different from our perspective, then it's okay. There will be a discussion for that, right? Not just by saying, I think that your opinion is nonsense, or I'm the one who is the best from this. No, it's not like that. That's really arrogant. Be sure we are a master, but be open for every discussion. Number seven is that connect and engage with the audience here. All right, make sure that we have the eye contact. Do not look at the upstairs. Do not look at, at the floor and anything, right? When we are doing public speaking, We speak with everything that we have, with our body, with our eyes, okay, with the movement. So it's not only the words, all right? They will see, do our eyes light up? Yeah. Do we smile when we are speaking? All right. Or we look everywhere, or we look nervous by not smiling at all, or we just like standing as a mannequin or everything. They will see this. That's why it is really necessary that we have the engagement of the engagement with the audience while we are speaking in front of them. Okay. Next, sometimes we make mistake on a speech, right? When we make mistake, then do not feel hesitate to say sorry. Okay, then because like we make mistake, like perhaps out of nowhere we give them wrong information, and then we are aware later that, oh, I think that is wrong information, then we say sorry. However, if we do not make mistake, do not say sorry. This is something that is really, that really happens by all Indonesians, including me at the past before. So at the end of our speech, we usually say like, okay, thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry for the mistake. The perfection only belongs to God, and the mistake only belongs to me. Yeah, in Bahasa Indonesia, that will be okay to say that in the end of our speech. But when we deliver a speech in English, avoid that. Avoid that because that's not really the culture of delivering a speech in English. I used to be a judge for a speech competition held by UIN Sunan Kalijaga in Jogja. Along with me was a native English speaker from California, USA. So when we judged the participants, almost all of the participants in the end of their speech, they say like that, okay, that's all my performance. I'm really sorry for the mistakes. And then they close the speech. And then this person, this woman, the native speaker, asked me, Handung, why did everyone say sorry in the end of their speech? And then I was like, oh, perhaps that's our culture. We are a very modest person, yeah, and then we try to be low profile. And then I asked her back, so is it not okay in your culture? Of course not, because we say sorry only for two things. First, we make mistakes. For example, like, unintentionally, we say racist things. Like, sometimes we try to make a joke, but sometimes we go over the board, right? So something like that. Or we try, or unintentionally, we talk about offensive things. Then we can say sorry in the end by saying that, oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to say that. That's the first. So we say sorry only if we make mistake. Number two, if we say sorry, it only shows that we are unconfident or even we do not really understand what we are talking about. All right. Then if we think that we do not make any mistake, all right, or we are confident enough with the topic, then we do not need to say sorry in the end of the speech. Just say, I think that's all my presentation. Or I think that's all my speech. Thank you so much for having me. Or thank you so much for listening. And then greetings. Assalamualaikum, or good morning, or good day. Yeah. And so on and so forth. That's the thing that we need to remember. But if we speak in Bahasa Indonesia, it's okay to say that. Maaf atas kesalahan, yeah, and so on and so forth. It's okay, but don't say that in English when we deliver a speech in English. Next slide. Yes. After knowing this, yeah, still a part of during performance, we also need to practice the verbal and nonverbal communication. All right. Okay, Mas Iqbal, are you familiar to verbal and nonverbal communication?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, good. Tell me what verbal communication is, Mas Iqbal.
Verbal communication, in my comprehension, is about we talk directly to any people we meet, face to face, right, sir?
Yes, brilliant. That's correct. So verbal communication, like what Mas Iqbal told us before, is like about what we talk. It's about what we say to people. Verbal communication is like a tool of communication while using the word that we have. Okay, using words. So it means everything that we say when we talk to people. And there are several things that we need to consider when we do the verbal communication. Number one is volume. So what is the great volume? The great volume is not like we are shouting out loud, like, "Woi!" No, it's not something like that, of course. Neither we are whispering, like, today I'm going to talk about this. No, it's not something like that. But the great volume is that we have to make sure that all of the people joining our presentation can listen to our voice clearly. All right, that's the things about volume. So if everybody here cannot listen to my voice, then I want you to raise your hand. Then I need to adjust to my voice, I think. Yeah, but if everything is okay, you can just show me your thumbs. Yeah, showing that, oh, yeah, okay, it's good. Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you so much. Nice. Okay, right. So after the volume, I'd like to move to the second, which is the pitch. I'm going to ask some of the audience here, perhaps. Yeah, I'm going to talk with Mas Rahmansyah Harun. Hello, sir. Hi, thank you for joining, Mas Rahmansyah. Mas Rahmansyah, do you know what pitch is? Yeah, perhaps you can unmute your audio and tell me your opinion about what pitch is, sir.
Pitch in verbal communication.
Yes. What do you know about pitch?
I actually never have the experience on communicating in front of people. So
Wow,
maybe
okay.
in this case, pitch is like your voice, like your tone, or maybe something like that.
Exactly, that's correct. Thank you so much, Mas Rahmansyah. So
You're
Mas
welcome.
Rahmansyah told me that he never had any experience of communicating with people in front of public, but I think here that your English skill in speaking is really good. Right, I'm amazed.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're just being modest. I believe that you have a great experience. Right?
Yes.
So like what Mas Rahmansyah told us, that pitch is actually the tone or the intonation that we have. All right. When we are speaking, pitch would be really a powerful tool in playing with the audience emotion. When we ask questions, for example, we need to give like a tone in asking questions. We need to give an intonation of asking questions, as well as when we are giving them information or we give stress to several words so that they know that this word is actually really necessary, right? So pitch, intonation, right? Because if we would like to ask people questions, but we give a very flat intonation, they will not understand. Is it a question or a statement? For example, I asked Mas Rahmansyah before, tell me what pitch is with the questions. But when I say, Mas Rahmansyah, what pitch is? It's like, is it a questions or is that a statement, right? People will not understand. That's why the tone, the pitch, or the intonation would be really considered in public speaking. Rate, okay? Rate is actually a speed of our speech, right? So whether or not we speak too fast or too slow, the rate. When we are too nervous, sometimes either we speak too fast or too slow. Too fast because we want anything to finish soon, right? Okay, I want this presentation to finish soon, so that's why I speak really fast. Or in the other hand, we speak too slow because we forgot what we are going to say, right? So that's why we need to pay attention on the rate, on the speed. Okay, how? First, we can try to make ourselves aware that if we have too many feelings, like it means that we speak too slow or too long, right? In the other hand, when we cannot finish our word by word correctly, it means that we speak too fast, right? So focus on the word. Make sure that every word we say is finished. Okay. Usually people tend to speak really fast so that some words cannot be heard effectively or even clearly. Number four is pause. So pause would be really effective or efficient because different pause can have different meaning, right? We need to have a pause in a correct or inappropriate place. Like I told you, different pause, different meaning. For example, I have one sentence with two different pauses that could create different meaning. Number one, a girl without her man is nothing. And number two, a girl without her man is nothing, right? So when we put different pause, it could create different meaning. That's why we have to be very careful where we stopped during the speech. Number 5 is vocal variety. usually vocal variety is conducted when we are doing a storytelling activity, like when we tell about a mouse deer and a tiger. Then we become the mouse deer, we speak really slow with a cute little voice, and while we become the tiger, we speak really, like scary by, making our voice a bit harder and anything, something like that. And then next, two things that are related each other: pronunciation and articulation. Again, I would like to ask some of my participants here. I would like to ask Mbak Suci. Hi, Mbak Suci. Hopefully you are not shocked being called by me. Yeah, Mbak Suci, could you please tell me, what do you know about pronunciation and articulation? Yes, Mbak Suci with brown veil, I think.
Yes, all right.
Yes.
I know what pronunciation, as I know, pronunciation is when you say about word and you can, for example, in Indonesia, buku. Buku
Yes.
is book. And then you can pronouncing B, U, and then K. B, U, K. It's like that.
Okay, right, great. Thank you so much, Mbak Suci. That was a very brilliant opinion from Mbak Suci. And it's correct. Pronunciation and articulation, they are related to each other. Articulation is the process, while pronunciation is the result. Like what Mbak Suci told us before, book. If we are able to say the word b or k in the end, that's the articulation. And that's why we can pronounce the word book really well. Yeah. Another example, if we can say tiga in English correctly, we can say three. Yeah. We can articulate the sound of th, not th. Yeah. Th. Like when we say tha in huruf hijaiyah. Th, three. If we can do that, it means that we would like to, pronounce the word three correctly. Right? That's the difference between pronunciation and also the articulation. All right. And next is the dialect. Okay. Dialect here, do not get me wrong. Okay. Do not get me wrong that what I'm meant here by the dialect is that all dialects are really accepted. All accents are accepted. Okay. We can use British English. We can use American English. We can use Indonesian English, right? It's okay. Indian English, Singaporean English, Japanese English, like mine. Yeah, I'm a Japanese, so sometimes I use my Japanese English. It's okay. The point is that the pronunciation and the articulation is correct. Okay, so that when the pronunciation is correct, so no matter what accent that we have, no matter what dialect that we have, it's really okay. We don't have to be somebody else to be accepted. Just be ourselves. But the point is that be the best version of ourselves. That is sometimes that all people get it wrong. When people do something wrong and then they say, this is me, this is myself, I'm just being myself. That is wrong. Okay. The definition of be ourselves is that be the best version of ourselves. Then we can say that this is myself when we are able to do the best version. Be the best you can do. That's the most important thing. So we do not have to be somebody else. Next, after verbal communication, let's talk about non-verbal communication. Next slide, please. The non-verbal communication, the first one is, next slide, yes. Yeah, this one. So I told you before in the introduction that we need to pay attention on the first 30 seconds because the audience would like to judge us at the first 30 seconds. And, another way to look good is that by paying attention on our personal appearance. So this first verbal communication is that personal appearance. Again, don't get me wrong. Personal appearance doesn't have to be, branded, expensive clothes. No. What we call by great personal appearance is that when we are, well dressed in an appropriate event, when we are speaking in front of the chancellor, for example, the rector, or the lecturers, perhaps, yeah, we can wear batik, we can wear coat, suit, like this person. But if we speak on a beach, for example, when we are, speaking in front of people in a concert, for example, then we need to adjust what clothes do we need to wear. So adjust our outfit with the event would be really necessary. After having this personal appearance, number 2 is that, next slide, movement. Okay, like I told you, we speak with our body. It's not only the word, it's not only the verbal, but the non-verbal communication needs to be balanced. Okay, so we speak with everything that we have here, the movement of our body, all right? But do not be too over. I mean, by saying movement, it doesn't mean that I told you to move a lot, like while we are dancing while speaking, of course, not like that, right? But the move that can support our statement, okay? Like when we say when we are going to move from the introduction to our first idea, for example, then we can say, my first idea, well, you move from the center to the right side of the stage, for instance, right? So that's the movement. Or even if we are in a podium, yeah, we do not need to move a lot, but we only need to move our body until our waist, perhaps, right? To make sure that the audience are looking at us or paying attention to us. Next, after the movement, number 3 is that gesture. Okay, the gesture. Gesture, usually, in a gesture, there is something called distracting mannerism in public speaking. Distracting mannerism is that the mannerism that is, done by the speaker, but this person is unaware of that. For example, usually for women, they like to fix their veil. I don't know why. Their veil is okay, but they sometimes like this. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, doing like this, fixing their veil. All right. Yeah. Or where their veil is like on their chest, and then they put like, okay, this one. Do that very often. That's for women usually. Yeah. And for men, they usually play with their hair. So try to look at your friends when they're doing presentation. Okay, everybody, now I'm going to do or fixing their trousers. Yeah, that's something that me personally at past time did when doing presentation. So that is distracting mannerism. So pay attention. We can have our hand gestures, right? Something like this to support our statement. Okay, do not have like distracting mannerism that I told you before. Next, the last but not the least for nonverbal communication is the eye contact. Besides talking with the body, we also need to talk with our eyes. Eyes cannot lie, all right? So when you're nervous, it can be seen from the eyes, all right? The same things, if we care to the audience, then they can see from our eyes. Give them love. Love here is not like romantic love, of course not, but love here is like the engagement that we have as a speaker to the audience. How to show them our love is by looking at them, right? It's not like we look like one by one really deeply. That's really scary, of course not, right? But we look at all of them. We look at someone and then we hold for around 2 seconds, right? And then we look at somebody else. We did that frequently, all right? Because we talk to not only one audience, but we talk to many people. Okay, that's why the eye contact should be really, taken into consideration. So if I may say that to grab the emotion of the audience, we have 2 things. Number 1 is the intonation, the pitch that I told you before. Number 2 is the eye contact. If we have a great intonation supported with the eye contact, like we look at them one by one because we want them to engage, then they will pay attention back to us and we can play with their emotion. That is really necessary. Next, still a part of nonverbal communication is that this one. Fillers. Fillers. Has everybody ever heard about filler? What filler is? I would like to ask Mbak Nina Aulia. Mbak Nina, would you like to tell me your opinions what fillers are? Yes, perhaps you can unmute your audio. Yes, Mbak Nina Aulia. What do you know about fillers?
I think filler is like what? combination or variations, so people will be interesting what you say.
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak Nina. Nice opinion. Correct.
Yes.
So what Mbak Nina said about variation is actually correct. So it's a variations of speaking, correct? But well, when we said that it can make people interested, I was a bit disagree with that, because actually fillers were stated when someone forgot about something or we confused about something. When we would like to say something but we forget, for example, then we can use filler. There are three types of filler: filler voice, filler words, and filler phrase. So filler's voice is like so when someone is speaking with a lot of so he or she uses fillers sound. Number two is filler words. Filler words is like, well, actually, basically, yeah. So when someone asks you questions and then you would like to answer, but you forgot, and then you say, well, yeah, it's actually a filler to as a space between one word and another because we forgot or we do not know what to say. Number three is that filler phrases. Filler phrases is like, which is, you know, which is,
Okay,
you
hello.
know.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Excuse me. I would like to remind you that we have 5 minutes left for the session.
Oh, okay. All right. 5 more
Yeah.
minutes. Okay. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Mas Iqbal. I will finish it
Okay.
in 5 minutes. All right. So that's filler phrases. If you ask me, is it okay to use filler? The answer is yes, it's okay. But make sure it's not that long so that the fillers will not interrupt our speech. For example, you would like to say, okay, today I'm going to talk about, well, you know, literally, basically, yeah, everything is a filler. Then audience will feel confused, like, what are you going to talk about? All right. So instead of using Indonesian filler like apa itu? Say, usually, yeah. So we can use this kind of English filler to fill the gap. Next. Yeah, post-performance tips. Post-performance, there are 4 things to have. After we finish the performance, we need to do this. First, make sure that we congratulate ourselves for a job well done. Do not be too hard for yourself by saying that, oh my God, I was so stupid by forgetting several lines. Or you are being too rude by saying, oh, that was a very bad performance. No, we have to congratulate ourselves by saying, okay, for example, I am Mbak Dini Hadi, yeah, and then I say, okay, Dini, you have done a very great job. So congratulations. So try to congratulate ourselves, appreciate ourselves, right? And then get objective feedback. Objective feedback could be gotten from, the committee. It could be obtained from your friends who watch the performance, right? But make sure it's objective. Objective means like the people is not hating you, right? Because they want you to improve. That's objective feedback. And then we still remember that we have recording of our performance. Then we need to watch or listen to ourselves 24 hours after the performance. Because if we watch it directly, then we are still not stable enough, right? And then we will not be objective to give critics to ourselves. And then number 4 is that make a notes on how to improve in the future. Yeah, make sure that we know how to improve. Like, oh, okay, I think that my nonverbal communication in terms of the eye contact is less. I still look at anywhere. Or, oh, I think that my volume is really slow. Oh, my intonation is still really bad, that I need to improve. Something like that. That's the post-performance tips. Next. Okay, different type of speech. We have informative, persuasive, and special occasion. Next. For informative, that the goal is that we need to explain them about something or show them how to do something. So the goal of the speech in informative speaking is that we only try to inform them. We do not have any intention to influence or to change their point of view. No, but we only want to inform them. Like when you would like to inform your family about why you like English language teaching department, like you only inform them, right? It is different from persuasive speaking. Next. Persuasive speaking has an intention to change people's mind, right? We want people to think after listening to our speech, and then after they think, we want them to act, do something, and believe what we say to them. all right? Usually it is done by an advertising department, all right? Or when we would like to promote something to people, right? Promoting a product, convince people to take action, right? We have different goals from informative. Informative, we only inform them, but in persuasive, we change their mind and we want them to do action. Next, special occasion is like, when we deliver a speech, not only to present ourselves, but it also, we represent the organizations. The example of speaking in special occasion is like Mas Iqbal and also Mas Fajar. Mas Fajar as an MC to open this event, and then also Mas Iqbal as a moderator to introduce me. That is the functions of speaking in special occasion. It is usually only short, yeah, like what we have to Mas Fajar and Mas Iqbal, that it is really short, usually delivered through humors, stories, or illustration. Also, when we become the best graduate from a university, when we deliver a speech to represent our friends, yeah, it also speaking in special occasion. Next, last but not least, the conclusion is that we have discussed what actually public speaking is, all right, and then we know that it's actually a formal communication face to face, and we have the purpose in it that either we are going to inform, to influence, or to persuade, and then the last is that to entertain people. All right, and then is it important? Why do we hate public speaking? Because the main point of why people hate public speaking is that because they are afraid of being rejected by the audience. People are afraid of rejection. That's why also in public speaking. However, we need to know the importance of public speaking, because all of successful people, they are able to do public speaking because they are able to inspire people with what they have. We also have discussed the pre-performance, start from things to consider also during the performance, like what do we need to have during performance, verbal and non-verbal communication. The post-performance, like we need to get the objective feedback, congratulate ourselves, and watch the recording. That's what we need to do. And we also have discussed the type of speeches that are informative, persuasive, as well as special occasion. And, my last word for today is that speech is power. It's to persuade, it's to convert, and to compel. Thank you so much. I give the time back to the moderator. If you have question, please do. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for giving a nice material for today, sir.
It's my
It was
pleasure.
nice. I have taken a lot of knowledge from your explanation. So yeah, it is very support me to shaping my public speaking skills. Well, then we move to another sessions of this webinar about Q&A. Here we have two questions, sir.
Yep.
From Mr. Rahman Shaharun and Ms. Puji Nur Aisyah. But before that, would you prefer to answer the question directly, or we can click one by one? Oh,
I see. For me, I personally think that directly answer the question would be better. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We can start from the first question from Mr. Rahman Shaharun. The time is yours. Mr. Rahman Shah, you can direct give your question to Mr. Handung.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Om Swastiastu, salam, best wishes to all of you, and good morning. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rahman Shaharun from IAIN University of Yogyakarta. My question is there any technical or method that are different significantly between public speaker, preacher, orator, master of ceremony, newsreader, and representer? For instance, we know our first president that we love so much, President Sukarno. He is the most accomplished orator in Indonesia ever. We also know that famous Muslim preacher like Dr. Zakir Naik, who actually had came to Indonesia to give his speech and lecture. So my question is the technical and the method on how to do public speaking that you just delivered to all of us in this seminar also applies to the other speaker like orator, a preacher, or even a newsreader and a representer? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mas Rahman Shaharun, for the questions. So Mas Iqbal, how is it? Did you answer the questions or?
Yeah, yeah, you can't answer directly the question from Mr. Rahman, but actually I cannot read so the questions. It's too
It's
fast for me
okay.
to listen. Yes, here
It's
is
okay.
audio is not.
I think I could get the point of Mr. Harun questions, right?
Okay,
So let me try to repeat the questions, Mas Rahmansyah, and then I would like to answer your questions before. Okay, so Mas Rahmansyah from Aisyah University. Well, it's really close to my institution, yeah, from UMY. It's like you just neighbor here, I think. So Mas Rahmansyah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mas. So we are neighbor. So Mas Rahmansyah asked about, is there any, specific difference between public speaking conducted as an MC, as an orator, preacher, and so on and so forth, and also the method that is different. Yeah, well, I think that if we talk about public speaking, even if we try to distinguish into several branches, then the difference would not be that significant, Mas. So the materials that I delivered today is actually the public speaking in general that could be implemented in all aspects of public speaking, like emceeing, hosting an event, preaching, doing some oration, and everything. However, if you ask me, is there any difference? Yes, of course, there is a difference from that, Mas. The difference is that in terms of the method, from the technique, just a bit, but the method, yes. For example, if you talk about being an MC and also news anchor or news reporter, we need to pay attention on the verbal communication, such as how we produce the voice, right? So if you ever attended several events, like for example, a graduation ceremony, or you're holding attending a seminar or a conference, there will be a difference in the MC on how they produce the voice. For example, like when we attend a concert, they will not really pay attention on the voice. Like they say that, okay, hey everybody, it's really great to see you, something like that. But when we attend a seminar or a conference, sometimes they will say, good morning everyone, it's really great to see you for this opportunity. So it's like the voice is different, right? Or in bahasa Indonesia we can say, hadirin sekalian, selanjutnya adalah something like that, right? So it's like the way they produce their voice. The technique is like the technique on how they produce the voice that should be adjusted with the event that they have.
Yeah.
Right. The method as well. When we are hosting a non-formal event, like in a concert or a food festival, for example, we have, we need to have like a very lively, non-verbal communication. Like, hey everyone, this is really fun here. I have a lot of food from the whole Indonesia, right? And when the event is really formal, like when we are emceeing a wedding, for example, then we need to pay attention on the non-verbal communication, like how the movement, how the behavior, on how the gesture, and so on and so forth. That's the method that is different. And then when we talk about the preacher and also the president, what they need to pay attention is that on their content, like what you said before,
exactly.
Dr. Zakir Naik, or the best orator, our first president, they pay attention not only on the technique, but on their content, right? We see that the content of Zakir Naik is really powerful. Even sometimes no people could defend, or sorry, could neglect what they say, what he said, right? As well as Sukarno on how on how he can move, or how he can change the opinion of the whole society in Indonesia to be able to be united, to be independent, and so on and so forth. So that's the content. Okay, so there is a difference for the technical and method, but it's not that significant. It will be, it will only depend on the purpose, the aim. Yeah, that's why the goal of this speaking that we have should be really clear, so that we can adjust to the need. Yeah, so that's why the material today is like on how we can do all of public speaking things. But perhaps next time, who knows, that the LTD would like to hold another event, we can focus on emceeing, news anchoring, reporting. Then there will be like difference that we can see from that. Is that answering your question, Mas Rahmansyah?
Yeah, thank you. That answered my question.
Yeah, my pleasure. Mas
Okay,
Iqbal?
thank you, Mr. Handung, and thank you, Mr. Rahmansyah, for the questions. Well, we move to another question from Puji. Puji, you're live with Mr. Handung. Okay.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Handung.
Hi, Puji.
Yeah. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Puji Nur Aisyah. I'm from EIN Nurjati, Cirebon. I want to ask you, I often get tips that when we do the public speaking and feel nervous because of the audiences, especially if we have to interact with them, they say like just what's that? Just pretend that they don't exist, or even like think something else to get the rid of the nervousness. So what do you think? Is that a good tips, or maybe you have better tips for us?
Okay, right,
Thank you.
great. I've been anticipating for this question. Thank you so much, Mbak Puji, for the question. So, Mbak Puji asked questions regarding the nervousness, right? Then I also heard several years ago, still until now, then, okay, if you feel nervous, try to pretend that they don't exist, or try to think about something else, or try to look at between their eyebrows, right? Something like here. So do not look into their eyes, yeah? Something like that. Well, for the first, like when we are a beginner in speaking, it's okay, right? But I do not really suggest this. Why? Because as I told you before, that when we do public speaking, we do a communication where we as a person, as a speaker, we talk to people in front of us. So if we pretend that they don't exist, or if we think about something else, then the goal of communication would not be achieved. Okay, why? Because when we talk about something, we also need to know their face, their facial expression, to decide whether we have to give some stress to several words, or whether we have to repeat to the previous idea, so that people will get more of the point. So if we only think about something else, or pretend that they don't exist, we only focus on ourselves. Okay, I will just say, I will not care whether people are listening or not. Okay, that is a bit selfish in my opinion. Right. And how to solve that problem then? To solve that problem, first try to change in our mindset that if the audience are looking at us, it means that they are interested in us, either in our appearance or in our topic. That's something that we have to change. Right? It sometimes happens to my students, like when they present something in the class during their presentation, for example, or doing some speech, they sometimes say that, okay, come on, please don't look at me. I feel nervous. Look at something else. Look at your phone. Look at your book, and so on and so forth. Well, it is really bad. Why? Because if our audience prefer to look at their book, prefer to look at their phone, it means that we are less interesting than their gadget, right? And it's really bad. Why? Because then what is the function of us standing in front of them? We will not be listened by them. All right? Change our mindset that, oh, if they are looking at us, it means that we are interesting for them. Then they are interested. In the other hand, if they prefer to look their cell phone, if they prefer to look, or they prefer to talk with their friends, then ask ourselves that, oh, perhaps I am boring. Perhaps I am not interesting. Perhaps my topic is not that good, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. That's the thing. So first, change the mindset. Number two is that having more communication with them by the eye contact. Okay. After they look at us, try to look them back. Why? Because usually when I feel nervous, I look at my audience eyes, and then they will be the one who feel nervous. Yeah, because when they look at me, I look at them. They usually feel like shy and blah blah blah. All right. So can you imagine if they look at you and then you pretend to look at something else, they will know that you are nervous. All right. If they give us attention, then we also have to give them attention as well by looking at them. Because basically everybody likes when they are talking to someone, that person looks into our eyes, right? It is really polite when we talk to someone and then we look at them. Have you ever talked to someone and then that person look at their cell phone, yeah, or do something else? It's really annoying, right? That's the same thing in public speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to look at them, look at their eyes. And then next, finally, is that, non-verbal communication is not only from us, Mbak Puji, and also the other, but it also can come from the audience. When we speak and then they yawning, like, it could be that they are that they are feeling bored. Okay, or they look at their watch all the time. It could be that they are bored, right? So we need to like either give them ice breaking or give some, jokes perhaps if we can, yeah, something like that to communicate more with the audience. So that's what my suggestion. Change our mindset, give them attention back. And I will not say that this is easy. Yeah, it needs process, right? And that's process that we have to do as a public speaker. So start from now, everybody. Yeah, at first, perhaps we think of somebody else, or we think of anything else, or we pretend that they don't exist. For once or twice is okay. but next, try to give more attention to the audience. Is that answering your question, Mbak Puji Nur Aisyah?
Yeah, really answer my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure, Mbak Puji. Another question,
Okay,
please.
thank you, Puji and Mr. for the answer. Puji, for your nice questions. I think here we have last questions from Gabriela, sir. The
Okay.
question is, if we make a mistake during our speech, which make the audience lose their focus, what should we do to encourage the audience pay attention to us again?
All right, great. Really interesting question from Mbak Gabriela. This is, I really like this kind of questions because of mistakes. Thank you for the questions. I would like to try to answer the questions. If we make mistake, we have two options. We let the mistake ruin our performance, or we make the mistakes as a joke or ice breaking. All right, and also it needs practice again. For example, like this, Mbak Gabriela. We are on our second point, and it's done, and we are about to move to our third point. But out of the blue, we forgot, and then we directly jump to conclusion. Yeah, so you say like in conclusion, but you directly remember that, oh my goodness, I have one more point number 3. And then when something like that happens, you can just say, wait, I think I forgot one more point. I still have point number 3, or I still have the third point. That is blah 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 blah. Okay, so just like make it as elegant as possible. Sometimes it's okay to say what's on your mind. Like when you forget, you can say, wait, I think I forgot one thing. I have one more point. I'm really sorry for that. It's okay to say that. But do not say like, oh, sorry, I forgot. I think one more point, something like that. Okay, so do not make it like worse by showing that you feel nervous or being so messed up because of that mistake. Just try to make sure that the mistake we made is actually just an ice breaking, or just to make the focus out of the audience turn back. Okay, yeah, just say that, oh, I'm so sorry, I think I made a mistake. I still have point number 3 before this conclusion, and then you continue. So my third point is this, and this, right? So that's the option. Do not let the mistake ruin our performance. Yeah, something like that. Also, when we feel nervous, sometimes we can say that once or twice, or only once. Like for example, when you are forgetting something, and then we are too nervous, that we can say, wait, I'm really sorry. I think I'm too nervous right now speaking in front of great people like you guys. Let me repeat what I told you before. Yeah, something like that. So you say that, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm nervous. But don't say like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm too nervous. Wait, I forget something. Don't be like that. Keep on relax. Yeah, to say that, oh, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm too nervous right now because I speak in front of great people, beautiful and handsome man here in this room. So please let me repeat what I told you before, beginning from the introduction. Well, something like that. Okay, so make it as if like it's something common, all right? It will not ruin your performance. Something like that, yeah? So that's what we can do, Gabriela, when we make mistake. Just take it easy. Make it enjoyable, okay? Hopefully that answers your questions. If you still not satisfied, please let me know, Mbak Gabriela. Yeah, my pleasure, Mbak Gabriela.
Well, yeah, thank you again for your nice answer, Mr. and for Miss Gabriela for giving your questions. I think there's enough for our Q&A sessions.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah, thank you for all the participants and for the participant who give questions to Mr. Handung. Hopefully, the answering your question. Okay. But before our closing our agenda today, I would like give a time for Mr. Handung to give your question remark from us related to your explanation material for today's.
Okay, all right.
The time is yours.
Thank you, M.Iqbal. I'm going to say 2 things here. Number 1 is my closing remark that will be related, perhaps a bit answering the question from the group chat here, because I see that so many people are asking about boosting the confidence, right? Yeah, but I will answer it really shortly, right? So number 1 is about the speaking. I would like to repeat again what I told you before, that speaking is not just saying a word, all right? We could kill people by our word, and we could, make people live. Make people come to their life, make them live by our words. We can change people's mind. We can make people do some action with our words. And that's why we need to know the skill or the art of speaking, because there will be a lot of benefit that we can have, including, not only changes people's mind, but benefits to ourselves, to promote ourselves. We could sell ourselves to company in finding a job, and so on and so forth. And how to do the public speaking and how to improve the confidence here, as the question of from many people. One thing that we need to know, confidence is not something that comes in one night. Okay, like today I learned about confidence, and then tomorrow I can be really confident enough to speak in front of people. No, how to boost the confidence is that first, make sure that we have more time to expose ourselves in public speaking. How? By sharing first. After we know that we have, more time to expose ourselves, try to make sure that we have a content to say. We have a message, because if we have the message, all right, and it's okay to, to deliver to people, and that's enough as the reason to speak. Number three, people will judge no matter what we say. People will judge us. People will try to let us down. But one thing that we cannot make everybody happy. Okay, we cannot make everyone happy with our statement. There will be always one person hating us or do not like what we say. Yeah, so that's why never try to make everybody happy. Just focus on the message. Focus on the good things that we have. Be kind. Yeah, that's the goal that we need to know. Okay. So from all of the questions that perhaps cannot be answered, yeah, you can contact me through my email or through my social media, and inshallah, I will respond to those messages. I think that's all, Mas Iqbal. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. It's just nice. It's honor for me being your moderator for today. I'm so sorry if I have so many mistakes. I'm still nervous.
You're good. You are doing great.
Okay, thank you. Well, for my question remark, I stated from Alexander Grage. He told that there are three things to aim at in public speaking. First, get into your subject, then to get your subject into yourself, and lastly, to get your subject into the heart of your audience. So everyone at the first, greatest public speaker in the world, they bet in the first. So just with trainings and just with practice every time and push yourself to the limit, your speaking skills will be better and better. So I think that's all for today. Thank for all the committee. Thank all for your nice attention. Thanks to Mr. Handung. And thanks for the committee to Mr. Fajar as our host for today. That's all from me. Thank you so much. See you in the next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thanks in advance to Mr. Iqbal Fauzan and Mr. Patria Handung Jaya as the moderator and the speaker of today. Am I speaking louder enough?
Yes, Mas Fajar.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to remind you something that based on the rules, participants must fill out the feedback form shared in the end of the webinar to get the certificate. The certificate will be sent through the email maximum 3 days after the event. And last, the participants aren't allowed to leave the WhatsApp group before downloading the e-certificate. And the committee, we will do the same webinar in the next webinar series 6. You can see it in my screen sharing. Webinar series 6 about the pengeluang karir bagi lulusan pendidikan bahasa Inggris. Okay. It is also full in English. It will be held on 17 September 2020.
Mas Fajar, I think that we cannot hear to your voice. You think you need to make it louder.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Still, I can't hear you, Mas Fajar.
Am I speaking louder enough?
Try to plug off your earphone. Try to speak with your laptop's audio. I think that will be great.
Cek 1, 2, 3.
Okay. That's good.
Later.
Okay, there will be same webinar in the next webinar series 6. You can see on my screen sharing about the BIPA. The webinar will be held on September 17, 2020. And make sure you register it to be the participant of this webinar. Okay, before we leave this webinar, the committee asked me to do the screenshot or the Wi-Fi selfie together. No, screenshot together.
Great idea.
Picture.
Yeah, picture, take a picture, and
Pictures.
make sure you post the best version of your post. Okay, I will screenshot from now. Wait a second.
Already?
Oh, wait. Okay, 3, because there are 8 slides, so we
Oh, I
capture
see.
8 times.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. First, next. One. Oh, wait. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Next, in the third slide. One, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that's enough because in the next slide, the video is not turned on. So thank you for being the participant of this webinar. Thanks for having us. See you on the next webinar series 6.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Handung.
Wassalamualaikum
Yeah,
warahmatullahi
my pleasure. Yeah, terima kasih
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah, everybody.
Terima
Good luck
kasih
for
Pak
everything.
Handung.
Yeah, my pleasure. See ya, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, kepada peserta setelah mengisi feedback form diperbolehkan untuk meninggalkan atau leave Zoom room-nya. Terima kasih atas partisipasinya. Ditunggu di webinar series kami selanjutnya.
Fez. Thank you.
Thank you. You can
Thank
leave
you,
now.
Fajar and Iqbal.
Kasih
You
ya.
did a great job.
Yes, you're welcome, Miss.
We can, I think, who's the host? Miss Osi, ya?
Okay. All right, I will end this meeting for all.
You can end it in 1 minute.
Okay.
1 minute.
Okay.
Miss Osi?
Yeah, okay.
Sepertinya bisa diakhiri. Thank you so much everyone. Let's see you